What's up, people? Nigerians are talking. They're saying, how did Seyi Tinubu afford to pay cash for a $10.8 million house in London? Also, the first set of Nigerian evacuees from Sudan have finally landed. We thank God, alhamdulillah. In Kenya, at least 110 people have killed themselves by starvation, all because their pastor told them to do so they can see Jesus. Father, the devil is a liar. And in Uganda, a minister was killed by his own bodyguard because he did not pay his salary. And you must have heard that a Nigerian lawmaker has been sentenced to 9 years in prison in the UK for organ trafficking plot. And if you missed last Sunday's Money Talk series, my father and my God, you missed something. I've been posting snippets, but it's not like watching the whole thing or being there live and direct. Make sure that you check it out. It's your girl Adela bringing you juicy African news. And today we're starting with Nigeria, where the first set of evacuees from Sudan have finally made it home.
The first group of Nigerian evacuees from Sudan arrived in Abuja on Wednesday after several days stranded at the border with Egypt.
Wow, this is wonderful. Shout out to Air Peace for doing this for free, by the way. And the Nigerian Air Force, thank you so much. Although, I don't know why they were telling them to sing the national anthem. It is not by fire, by force. In fact, Nigeria really messed up this evacuation thing because other African countries have successfully evacuated their citizens more than a week ago. So a process that should have taken 1 or 2 days took more than a week just to execute. Ethiopia did not allow them to cross its own border, so they had to go to Egypt. And they also spent days at the Egyptian border because Egypt did not want them to cross without a visa until the Nigerian president Buhari lobbied with the Egyptian president, which took days before they were allowed into Egypt. And you need to see where those people were lodged while they were waiting.
They brought us here today to host us in this hostel of a kind of a maritime academy here in Port Sudan. You can see the bags and everybody is hanging here. And we have no idea what is going on. We don't know when we're leaving. We don't know if we're going to leave at all. This is the toilet. Can you see the toilet? This is where we'll be staying for only God knows how long we'll be staying here.
The whole thing was just not well planned. One Air Peace pilot was saying that they got to the airport, they couldn't find the Nigerians, they were waiting for them. They didn't make arrangements for their transportation from the border to the airport. So they actually dropped the ball in so many areas. But we thank the Lord that they're finally home. I cannot imagine what their family members, their parents have been going through since the war started in Sudan. So now we're praying for the other evacuees to be able to successfully join their family members back in Nigeria. I just feel like we can do better as a country, but anyways, we're very glad that they are back. But guys, it is embarrassing, okay? The way countries are shutting their borders to Nigerians. It is time we talk about our passport. How can we make our passport stronger should be on our minds. And the first thing is to ensure that people make good money, people are comfortable, because citizens of countries with high standard of living are less likely to want to migrate to other countries illegally. Also, we must work on combating terrorism because high terrorist attacks in the country put the citizens of that country at high risk alert for security, asylum, and overstaying. In fact, it makes it hard for them to secure visas to several countries. Also, the bilateral agreement that your country has with other countries in waiving visas impacts the number of countries that you can visit without a visa. So if you are carrying the passport of a country that has high standard of living, great security, good bilateral agreement, many countries are open to such citizens passing through their country without needing a visa. And that's why Japan, for example, has the strongest passport in the world. It allows you to visit 193 countries without needing a prior visa out of 195 countries that we have. You may need a visa upon arrival at some of those countries, but at least you're already inside. An American passport allows you to visit
186
countries. Canadian passport
also 186.
Seychelles has the strongest passport in Africa. It allows allows you to visit
154
countries. South Africa, 104 countries. Botswana,
87
countries. Kenya, 73 countries. But right now, Nigerian passport only allows you to visit 45 countries without prior visa. There are some of those countries, like I said, that when you get there, you may need visa upon arrival, but at least you can still travel to 45 countries. So we really need to work on these numbers because it is affecting us. If we didn't need a visa to enter Ethiopia or Egypt, Nigerian citizens would have been home a long time ago. So I really look forward to that day that Nigerian passport will allow me to travel to 100 and something countries. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Now to the cocoa of the matter. My people, move closer. Okay, so Bloomberg. Bloomberg revealed that one of the properties that Buhari's government confiscated due to corruption allegations in the oil sector was purchased by Tinubu's son. What? Seyi Tinubu? Anyways, Seyi used an offshore shell company, Aranda Overseas Corporation, to close the purchase through Deutsche Bank. If you don't know what an offshore shell company is, please and please just watch this movie called Laundromat. I think it's on Netflix. Please watch it. A shell company itself is not illegal, but they are sometimes used for illegal activities, including laundering money, evading taxes especially. An offshore shell company can hide the source of money obtained illegally. By the way, some Nigerian pastors, they have their companies registered as an offshore shell company, even their churches, just to evade taxes. But you know, we are not going there today. By the way, this whole Seyi Tinubu thing happened in 2017. At that time, dollar was about 360 naira to a dollar. So the amount he paid, $10.8 million in cash, was about 4 billion naira at the time. Some media houses are saying it's 5 billion. Seyi is 37 years old. So at that time, he should be 32 years old, which is why Nigerians are saying, how was a 32-year-old able to afford $10.8 million in cash? They are saying, exactly what does he do? Well, the short answer is his father owns Lagos. Jesus. But you know, jokes aside, sorry, let me repeat that. The thing is, he's described as a businessman. They say he's a serial entrepreneur. Now, those things are not quite clear in terms of exactly what he does to make money. But what is clear is that he's also the CEO of an out-of-home advertising company, that's Lutsad Promo Media Limited. He's a patron to STL Polo Team and a member of the board of several organizations. He's also the owner of Aranda Overseas Corporation, which is the offshore shell company that we just talked about. So while a lot of what he does is not quite clear, the ones that are clear don't really go in proportion with his wealth. But guys, while a lot of people are focusing on Seyi because he's Tinubu's son, one thing that we should keep in mind is that it's not just about this house in London. A lot of the assets seized by the Buhari's administration, including in Abuja and Lagos, have allegedly been recycled among Buhari's allies, including ministers in his cabinet, even his family members. It's not like they use the money to benefit the lives of the people, no. So what's the point of Buhari claiming to fight corruption? I really like what Senator Shehu Sani said on Twitter. He said, the president is leaving behind 77 trillion naira debt, 133 million poverty-stricken people, 25 million people at the risk of hunger, according to UNICEF, 10 million out-of-school children, mass killings and kidnappings on a daily basis. Yet, he said he has delivered on the change he promised. Wow. Let that sink in for a minute. Speaking of sinking in, the impossible happened this week when the former deputy president of the Nigerian Senate, that is Ekweremadu, was sentenced to 9 years in prison in the UK, along with his wife and their doctor, over the whole organ harvesting plot that involves their daughter and a young man that was brought from Nigeria to the UK.
Sonia Ekweremadu's parents thought they'd be saving her life. Instead, they were committing a crime. The senator, his wife, and the doctor who helped them. They had trafficked a man to take his kidney, which the senator's daughter needed.
Before allowing for aggravating and mitigating factors, the applicable starting points are custodial sentences of 10 years in the case of Abina Abeta, 10 years and 6 months in the case of Ekweremadu, and 6 years in the case of Beatrice Ekweremadu.
Now, that's something that has never happened in Nigeria. And the main lesson in all of this is Nigeria as a country should also be in a place where justice could prevail regardless of who is involved. Normally, they were supposed to extradite him to Nigeria, but if they had done that, then justice wouldn't have prevailed. So, my people, what do you think we need to do for people not to be seen as above the law in Nigeria and for justice to always prevail regardless of whoever is involved? Moving on to Kenya, I still don't understand why people forget their common sense whenever their man of God tells them to do stupid and dangerous things. How was a pastor able to convince you to starve yourself to death? And he did not starve himself to death. And they didn't just do it. Many of them also starved their children, innocent children. Right now, at least 110 people have died in Kenya, including children, because their pastor told them to starve themselves in order to meet Jesus.
Shock has gripped Kenya following the discovery of mass graves linked to a religious cult. Police are investigating Pastor John Mackenzie Ndenge, who's accused of directing his followers to starve themselves to death so they could meet Jesus.
Wow. I mean, how do you even process this kind of story? It's like living a horror movie. Do you know how many family members have been there looking for their family members? He lured them into the bush, away from their loved ones. Some of them flew to where this bush is. And then, according to one of the stories, it was the women and children that starved themselves first. And then the men starved themselves. They wanted to ensure all the women and children were gone first. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, what could be wrong with some people? The same pastor that is telling you to starve yourself did not starve himself.
The mood is somber in court, but not for everyone, even a man accused of mass murder. Paul Ntenge Mackenzie, the self-proclaimed pastor, and his co-accused face several charges, including terrorism-related offences.
Can you imagine? I mean, before you call somebody your father or mother in the Lord, at least make sure that they are mentally okay. This kind of person cannot be well. And no matter what, God gave you a brain for a reason. It is for you to use it. And now Kenya wants to start regulating religious organizations. Can you blame them? There's no war going on, no terrorist attack, and more than 100 of their citizens have died. How can they keep quiet? This is heartbreaking. Our condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. I cannot even imagine what they're going through. This is what they call kagbawiri, you know? And speaking of death, a Ugandan minister that did not pay his bodyguard was shot and killed by the same bodyguard that should be protecting him.
A bodyguard shot and killed a government minister in Uganda early Tuesday in an apparent private dispute. The attacker, who has not been publicly identified, then turned the gun on himself, according to state broadcaster. The victim, Charles Ngola, served in the government of President Yoweri Museveni as the junior minister in charge of labor. He was a retired army colonel. The local press said there had been an apparent dispute over the guard's wages.
I'm so sorry for his family members. This is a senseless way of dying. The bodyguard also killed himself, by the way. He ran, and then when he got somewhere, he killed himself. He was a soldier. Also, please make sure you pay your workers and pay them on time. Once again, our condolences to the family of the minister. Did you guys click the thumbs up button yet? Please don't forget that this coming Sunday, we have another segment of the Money Talk series. Our guest this Sunday will be Felicia Salami, the owner of the new modern Nigerian restaurant in the heart of New York City that has been featured now in several news outlets in New York. Dundu, why did this woman quit her job as an attorney for Shell Oil Company to pursue a business? How did she transition? If you missed the last one with Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, the link is in the description. Please join us this Sunday, guys, especially if you have a full-time job and you're thinking about making extra income. Maybe you have a side hustle or you want to start making money through a side business. All right, y'all, it's been real, and I'm keeping it right up in here. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, I'm watching you on Plasma TV. Press the subscribe button and the bell button. Until next time, I'm going to see you all later. Peace out.